You're watching WVIT. It's 29 degrees.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ross Joel, and Baldwin's off tonight. Our lead story: about a dozen Fairfield University students are braving bitter cold temperatures tonight in an effort to raise awareness and money for the homeless. The students have constructed a cardboard city similar to the boxes the homeless often have to sleep in on the streets, but unlike the homeless, the students will only live there for 24 hours. Carolyn Pennington has the story.
The students began constructing the cardboard city this morning outside the campus center. They moved in tonight and will continue their vigil for the homeless for 24 hours. They hope to raise around $1,000 to help repair the roof of a low-income home in Bridgeport.
Habitat for Humanity, a national organization, and some students here at Fairfield are working on a house that needs a roof, and so we're helping to get money for that roof that they're building.
They also want to make fellow students in this me generation more aware of those less fortunate than themselves.
And I'd like to see a shift back towards some social awareness, some social consciousness, and a breakdown of the me generation.
The money raised will come from the collection at a mass held earlier this evening at the campus center and from individual student and faculty donations. Those attending the service feel it's a noble gesture by the students.
Maybe these kids can find a way to persuade the government people to take a step in the right direction.
I think the kids are doing a terrific thing. I really am very proud of them. I think it's one way of making a statement. And I think the kids, it takes a lot of courage to do this kind of thing.
The students will tear all this down tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. They'll end it with a prayer vigil and music service and hope that their efforts to help the plight of the homeless will continue for more than just the 24 hours they've lived in this cardboard city. In Fairfield, I'm Carolyn Pennington, Connecticut News Tonight.
Well, it is cold out there, and Scott Derval now joins us with the first look at this week's weather. Scott?
Thanks, Ross. That's right. Temperatures have already fallen down into the 20s. It is going to be a cold night and a cold start to the day tomorrow. Now, the reason for that shows up on our satellite view. A cold, high-pressure system sitting over the Ohio Valley. That's sliding right over Connecticut. That'll keep our skies crystal clear tonight. And we'll start the day off with some sunshine tomorrow. But you'll notice the clouds coming in right behind that high. That means the sun will mix with clouds during the daylight hours. And late in the afternoon, it will become completely overcast. And notice some snow and rain showing up on the map. And both of those will be moving in our direction. So sun in the morning, clouds in the afternoon, cold with frost. Very early temperatures in the teens. More details coming up a little later. Ross?
Thanks a lot, Scott. Well, even in the beginning of Holy Week, it didn't soothe the bitterness between parishioners of St. Michael's Church in Bridgeport. Palm Sunday has meant just another day of protests at the church. It's been that way for the past month. As Cheryl Gray reports, people came to St. Michael's today to pray and once again protest.
This was Palm Sunday at St. Michael's, and the first Sunday in a month that parishioners have been able to worship in their own church.
Extremely happy to have the doors of our church open to the public and to our people that are concerned about the parish.
But these parishioners were not happy. They chose to remain outside of the church and continue their demonstration, as they have done for 4 Sundays straight. Their protest over the transfer of a popular Polish priest is what caused St. Michael's to close its doors last month. Parishioners attending church services today say enough is enough.
I don't know what these people have in their minds, but they should be in there praying to get forgiveness for their sins for what they're doing.
Maybe they think their way, because we should be with them. We should be together.
Church officials at St. Michael's are hopeful that the protesters will change their minds.
We have no anger or rancor in our hearts. We do hope and pray that they will see the light and come back to the church.
With Easter Sunday only a week away, this protest appears to be anything but resolved. Meanwhile, these parishioners are prepared to observe the holiest of Christian holidays on the street instead of in the sanctuary of St. Michael's. Cheryl Gray, Connecticut News Tonight.
Also tonight, federal investigators are en route to South Korea at this hour following the crash of a Sikorsky Sea Stallion carrying at least 37 U.S. Marines. Reports from South Korea say 22 soldiers are dead, at least 15 survived the crash. The helicopter reportedly exploded and then hit the ground. It's the second fatal Marine helicopter crash in South Korea in the last 4 days. Sikorsky, the helicopter's manufacturer, is based here in Stratford, Connecticut. A report out today claims investigators have a suspect in the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. A British paper says German authorities are focusing on a Libyan national apparent explosives expert. The paper also says British officials might have prevented the attack. It insists authorities were warned of a possible threat and issued an alert to airlines. But the paper says that despite being written 2 days before the disaster, the warning was not distributed until weeks afterwards. In this country, family members of some victims are calling for a congressional investigation into the bombing. Today in Trumbull, about 100 people from all over the East who knew victims came looking for answers. Carolyn Pennington spoke with relatives of a Brookfield woman who died in the explosion. Elizabeth Merrick's mother calls the incident a preventable tragedy.
We'd just like to know why. Because some people were obviously warned and some weren't. And that, again, is not what America is all about.
The group has established a political action committee to lobby Washington. They want to ensure steps are taken to prevent similar tragedies in the future. A house fire in Milford has taken the life of a 59-year-old woman. Authorities say the fire broke out at 3334 Ford Street about 2 this morning. It took only 15 minutes to get the blaze under control, and while firefighters say very little damage was caused to the house, they weren't able to get to the woman in time. The woman's 86-year-old mother also received minor injuries. She's being put up by the Red Cross tonight. In Springfield, 2 fires have hit the same industrial complex 2 out of the last 3 nights. The latest broke out about 9:30 Saturday night at the Standard Paper Company's manufacturing plant. It went to 3 alarms before being brought under control about 4 hours later. There were no injuries, but a fire at the company's warehouse on Friday night caused over $1 million in damage. Both fires remain under investigation tonight. In addition, a 3rd fire also broke out Thursday in another industrial complex a mile from this fire. Well, still to come, rebel forces in El Salvador disrupt the presidential elections in that country. Also, thousands of crates of Chilean fruit are ready for shipment to the United States. Those stories and much more coming up next.